This is your main guy CBK with a PlanetWatch update. Yeah, you better believe, man. Let me tell you something. Mining, staking, new coins, new projects, nodes, you name it. This is what we talk about. We're all about this. And if you want to be about this, you best believe you need to click the link in the description and join the family. I tell you what, we're going to be having a meeting tomorrow, and it's going to be the first of many meetings. However, it's, you know, there's a lot of things that's coming up, and it's going to be limited to a few people. So I need to meet and talk to every single one of you guys who want to be a part of what's about to come. So if you want to be a part of what's about to come and actually be a part of the inner circle, I'm talking about the inner circle, then join the thing. You know, let's talk. You know, I need to get to know who you are, you get to know who I am, and the plans that we're moving forward with. But anyway, this ain't really about the inner circle right now. If you want to be a part of that, click the link in the description. PlanetWatch, however, oh yeah, things are happening now. You know, I'm not really going to give away too much, but spoiler, KYC is coming, guys. Oh yeah, it's coming. If you want to earn those planets, you're going to have to show who you are, man. Where you are, what you're about. Yeah. Some people say it's a good thing. Some people say it's a bad thing. Let me know in the description what you think. That's all I'm going to say. Catch you guys in the next one, man. Peace, peace. Your boy's out. Later.
Good evening, Planet Watchers. How are you doing? I have quite a few announcements to make today, so I hope everybody's fine and sitting comfortably and in a good mood. So I'll do my best to keep you in a good mood and improve it possibly. Okay, let me start very concrete from sensors, because one of the name of the game here at the moment is delivering as many sensors as possible to you, to all people who wish to have one. Now, for Kythera, Type 3 Kythera, I believe all remaining emails for the September batch have been sent today. Probably the last ones went out a few minutes ago, so check your spam folder if you don't have it and you think you should have it. And so, as I said, one big issue is to deliver, sell, and ship as many sensors as possible. So I believe we already sold you something like 1,300 Kythera devices, which to me is a big number, because, as I said several times, doing this kind of job is quite challenging for us. We were not born to be a sensor reseller. We are doing it as a service to the community, and so far we've been doing our best. So we delivered 1,300 Kythera. I believe we can deliver at least an additional 900 by the end of October, and a further 1,000 plus in the following months. So for this device, we don't anticipate major stock shortages. I mean, we are talking to Kythera folks, and they're quite interested in serving the PlanetWatch community as well as they can. So this should be smooth enough. I mean, it's not instant for a number of things, a number of reasons. I mean, when we procure a batch for you of 1,000 sensors, we have to put a big check on the table, of course, to block this stock. So it's not something which is seamless and instant. We're just doing our best, but I think we're getting some results. Sorry, for Erquino, it's slightly different, because unlike Kythera, Erquino comes from a company which is a science spin-off as well as PlanetWatch itself. So that they've been manufacturing their devices mostly for an academic customer base, for science purposes. So they're not used to huge production numbers. However, given the interest from the PlanetWatch community for Erquinos, they are stepping up production to over 1,000 per month by the end of the year. So Erquino is a bit slower in terms of a supply chain than Kythera, for example, but we are helping them to step up numbers. So we are going to catch up with demand as well as we can. So just be a bit patient, because everything is being all orders are being processed as fast as we can. And in terms of delivering as much information to you as possible in terms of when you will get your sensor, we are doing some work also on our interfaces and websites. So the goal is that when you buy a license based on your order number, you will be able to see on our website in which quarter you are likely to get a sensor. And I'm saying quarter, and it's disappointed you would like to know. You would like to have a month, or maybe week, day, and minute. But quarter is a safe assumption that we can make. We can commit to a quarter if everything goes well for Equino, because, as I said, the production process is not as smooth as for other sensor devices because of industrial reasons. Now, this order number matched to list number is not something that will be written in stone. And you have to understand why this cannot be written in stone. Not because conspiracies such as giving lots of sensors to a big guy or something like that. It's more simple. When we buy a lot of sensors, the manufacturer gives us some commitment, but they always say subject to component shortage and our own suppliers not fulfilling their commitments. So what can happen is that they sell us a batch of 500 sensors, they commit to a delivery date, and then they tell us, hey, we were supposed to receive that electronic board by last week, where we haven't got it yet, so there will be a delay. Or we receive the 500 components instead of 800, and that of course affects their capability to deliver on time. On top of this, sometimes orders are cancelled, we issue refunds, so the queue would have events affecting the order of the order of orders. So you might get it in some cases earlier than what you thought, because some people are giving up, are asking for a refund. What I'm trying to explain is that this is not a smooth process, and not because of obscure causes, but just because logistics is not smooth, especially at a time where there is shortage of components and all these things. We don't fully control this process. I said it for the 10th times. We do it as a service to the community. We do our best. Okay, let's move into some more obviously good news. I just got confirmation that planets will be listed on Bitmart on the 22nd of October. So Planet Deposit will open the day before. So I believe, 21st of October. Trading will start on the 22nd. Withdrawals will be enabled as of the 23rd. So this is more or less what we hope to achieve. I was fearing further delays, but I just confirmed that the 22nd should be fine. So that's on schedule as far as I'm concerned. Something else which is also on schedule is the Kythera and Aware onboarding plus the app release, according to the schedule that I set last time, so by the end of October. Okay, so these processes are running smoothly for the time being. One more announcement is that, as I mentioned already, we will have our very first Science AMA on Friday. Dr. Gabriella Motta will answer a lot of questions that we already received about what are VOCs, why PM 2.5 is growing when I do this in my house, or all these things. She's an expert, and I think it will be a very interesting AMA session. Details will follow by a Twitter announcement. Okay, now, before answering your questions, I have an additional point which is very, very important. We are talking to potential data buyers because, as you know, the ultimate goal of PlanetWatch is to generate data which are valuable, both in scientific and business terms. So we are talking to potential data buyers, although it's a bit early to sell data sets for outdoors yet. When we're talking to buyers, we're trying to understand what are their requirements, what they want from us. And the first message we get is that they want extra checks on data quality and integrity. So the message is we can't afford dubious data in the network. For this reason, we are cracking down on cheaters. Who am I calling cheaters? I'm calling cheaters people who try to earn planets illegally with respect to the rules in the white paper. And these kind of people will try to grab some planets, and generally speaking, they will sell them straight away on the market. And of course, this behavior would destroy value for honest planet watchers by polluting our data sets with irrelevant data, for example, multiple devices in the same room and things like that. So since we don't want anybody to destroy value and to pollute the database, we are tightening controls on data streams. We have already blocked a number of suspicious devices and asking for explanations. So we are very serious about data quality. I always said that. Some people don't like this because if we were less serious, we will have more devices connected and things will go faster. But we are very serious about it because we really want a quality products to deliver to the market. Because data quality means value. Value for data buyers and value for you guys, for planet watchers, for all of us. So I feel now that we need to step up a little bit security, as data quality requires a bit more security. So we are tightening up some rules. First of all, on the website, you won't be able to buy more than 5 licenses per each type of sensor. If you want more than 5 licenses, you must get in touch by opening a ticket and explain why you want more than 5. There might be very legitimate reasons, like you are a business, you own a condo and you want to deploy in a sensible way in your condo. So the thing is the following: if you will only be able to buy direct from us with a few clicks if you are a retail, an individual planet watchers which has maybe some relatives and friends and wants to deploy in some friends' houses. But we are assuming that you don't have hundreds of friends, if you see what I mean. If you do, get in touch. This and other rules will be reflected in an updated terms and condition document. Nobody reads terms and conditions, right? Not even myself. But terms and conditions are important. Whenever you purchase something on our website, you are asked to acknowledge that you have read terms and conditions. And these terms and conditions, incidentally, already envisage identity checks, what people call KYC, whenever we feel this is necessary. Now, in the future, we might enforce KYC whenever we see it necessary. So, which means something very simple: to prove your identity by uploading an ID card or something like that. And this can be boring, but first of all, as you probably have seen around, the crypto world is moving towards the direction of more transparency and more widespread KYC, because we all have an interest to be compliant with the national and international legislation. So we don't want to run the risk that somebody picks on us because we are not doing KYC. So whenever we deem it is necessary, you may be asked to go through a KYC process. There are a number of rules that we are clarifying in the new terms and conditions. For example, this is worth mentioning as well. If you hold multiple licenses, for example, for type 1, and at some point you buy a type 1 sensor, the earliest bought license is the one that will be connected to your sensor. Let me make an example. If you buy a license in January, you go on the waiting list, and then you have a chance to buy a sensor a few months later, maybe in April, and then you buy a new license. The license which will be attached to your sensor will be your January license. So that license will be removed from the waiting list. And I believe this is fair, because we have seen that some people are doing something different. So when they get a sensor, they get a new license, but they hope that they will stay in the pipeline with the older license. I just don't think this is fair. we want everybody to get, say, at least one sensor. So there's no point in putting license purchases in the queue just to keep additional spots. And talking about strategies, there is one more thing where I want to be very clear. We have seen some people kind of playing around with refunds. So far, we have been very, I would say, generous in issuing refunds. And in particular, refunds for Planet payments, what we did in the past was based on the principle you paid maybe 10 planets, we did refund 10 planets. Now, it's very hard for me to admit that this was just plain wrong from the accounting viewpoint. I'm getting nailed by the accountants because this is not what we should have done. The reason is the following. Our invoice, every time you buy something from us, there is an invoice, formal invoice issued for a well-defined price in euros or in dollars. So the accountant just said, when you issue a refund, the value should match that fiat value. So what we did in the past was wrong, and in fact it encouraged some sort of speculators, people who would seek refunds when the planet's price goes up. And so kind of little strategies which are not really in the spirit of PlanetWatch and which create lots of headaches for us, lots of tickets, lots of useless work. And it was not just correct, in fact. So we are going to spell out in our terms and conditions that a very clear refund policy. So the value of refunds for Planet's payments will be made based on the prevailing Planet's euro exchange rate 48 hours after the time you open a ticket asking for a refund. Okay, if you think about this, again, this is fair because neither you nor us can speculate on exchange rates in this way because the rate of the refund is fixed in the future, so nobody knows what it will be. So in some cases people might lose out in Planet's terms, in other you might gain, but this is not only the right thing to do, but it's also something discouraging people playing tricks which again just pollute the environment and slow down the projects. Okay, so this will be spelled out in the terms and conditions very soon. And again, these policies are meant to protect real planet watchers. If you're not a planet watcher, you're somebody trying to make a quick buck with some tricks, we don't protect you. Sorry. We don't need you. Okay, after all these very tough words, let me remind you that overall we have a very good picture. We have very promising results. And we have a lot of interest about our project, which is why we need to get everything right. We need to be very clean, spotless, fair, and compliant on all sides. Now, let's come to your questions. When is the new app arriving? I just said, by the end of the month. Will there be more partnership with other types sensors? Would there be more sensors? Yes. How long do you expect the PlanetWatch project to last? 100 years. Then there are, more seriously, there are questions about when sensors will be approved for specific countries. Now, this thing of the countries where we say permitted countries and not permitted, again, this just needs to be a little bit clarified. When we put a tag as not permitted, this essentially comes from information provided by the manufacturer. It's a matter of compliance with respect to state regulations, which in turn reflects upon potential problems at the customs. Okay, and to be very honest with you, sometimes I believe manufacturers tell us we don't believe we can deliver to that country because we never did it. So they don't have some historical record of things going smoothly. So they are not sure whether the sensor will work in terms of compliance with local standards. And they're not sure either whether there could be customs related problems, which are usually related to the fact that the sensor is not compliant. So we are being a bit conservative there, because it's not a product that we manufacture. We don't control the approval process. So if a supplier tells us, well, we don't think you should ship to that country, we just don't do it. It's a bit annoying, I know, but again, it's being conservative once again. Another question is what criteria we are looking at when we choose potential devices for onboarding. Well, the criteria, I think, is fairly easy to spell out. The first is relevance to our mission. So we decide that there are a number of things which are interesting to measure in a specific context. So we look for sensors which can measure those things in that context. So we look for relevance, performance, value for money, because it's not difficult to make a good sensor spending $1 zillion, but that's not relevant. And of course, reliability of performance. And then we have detailed criteria about the way we access data from the sensors and the number of technical specs, but maybe it's not worth getting into that now. Okay, then I have a question about support and some complaints that support takes too long to answer questions. Mods are better and faster, and I'm glad to hear that. I'm happy to hear that. So we will work on this. You can help us in many ways. For example, not submitting tickets for questions which are answered elsewhere. And again, I'm committed to release a new, more comprehensive list of FAQs. We're still working on it. I've been told that there are a very large number of tickets related to something which is a bit problematic. Apparently, lots of people are buying Atmotube Pros, which are effectively second-hand devices. And once they buy them, they asked us to onboard them, and we discovered that the sensor is already registered on the network. And that's a bit of a problem. That's why I said in the past we don't recommend device sales across the network, because if the sensor is already registered on the network and it changes user, it changes owner, you open a ticket, we tell you that you need to get in touch with the seller, and it's a bit of a cumbersome and complex process. So we are doing it out of goodwill, but it's not something which is ideal, and maybe eventually we should either stop it or put a fee on this, because it's very time consuming in terms of PlanetWatch resources. So again, I would not recommend buying devices secondhand or from dubious sellers, let me put it this way, because it's a bit of a hassle for you, for us, and there are some risks in the process. Okay, then it's an interesting question next. Can you estimate the coverage percentage of a country which would be considered good enough for the purpose of selling air quality data? Okay, that's an interesting question. I believe we should think more in terms of city coverage rather than country, because if a relevant city is well covered by PlanetWatch, I think the data set is interesting per se. So if you think about it, in the white paper, there is a coverage goal related to our reward scheme. I mean, the coverage goal is essentially that we want one type 1 in each pixel and a few, up to 5 type 2 per pixel. So the ideal coverage is all the pixels with 1 type 1 and 5 type 2. I think that starting from perhaps 50% of the goal, we can already provide interesting data. We have an interesting data set. So that's where we want to go. Okay. When the new white paper will be delivered, I anticipated that I wanted to issue a new version of the white paper, and in the process there are a number of points where we will seek community approval via the governance system. Now, it turns out that the simplest way to run this governance exercise is via the app itself. So I would say the voting will take place in November via the app, because that's just the simplest, most transparent way to do this. Okay, so there will be a draft of the white paper, hopefully hopefully by the end of October. But if we need to submit decisions to the community, it's best to do it via the app. Last question today: what kind of companies are interested in PlanetWatch data? And okay, I did answer already, but let's do it again. It's a bit different for outdoor and indoor data. For outdoors, the key customers are local government organizations, so who are in charge of protecting public health and monitoring the environment. Another category of potential buyer is online media companies. For example, you have the website of a local newspaper. They provide information of direct relevance to the local community, including weather forecast. And again, they are potentially interested to provide real-time data feeds about local air quality. The third category of outdoor potential customers, which is very interesting, and we're talking to a number of entities, is mapping, navigation, and sports app developers. Why? Because when people move around for leisure or even for business, they're interested to know the environmental situation, because especially if you go out for leisure, like walking with the kids, biking, running, you want to know whether your path is safe and healthy. And our outdoor air quality data provide a good match for these apps, because we can add information about how healthy a path is in terms of the air you're going to breathe while you jog. So that's the third category of entities interested in outdoor air quality. For indoor air quality, there's a huge number of organizations which are interested in their own air quality data. As you know, we are already working with a number of hotels. We are talking to hospitals, condos, public transport operators, all the situations where people can crowd indoor are situations where air quality monitoring is very relevant. There are lots of examples. Think of when you're waiting in the waiting room of your local doctors. There are many people, some people are coughing, you start wondering whether you're breathing some infected air, or if you're running any risk just being exposed to other people's air. And these are all situations where it makes a lot of sense to monitor air quality and show that air quality is being monitored and reassure people about the quality of the air and manage it. So there's a huge number of specific use cases for indoor air quality monitoring. Some of them we're already pursuing. For some of them, I can say in business terms, we already have full market validation, in the sense that we have paying corporate customers who pay for PlanetWatch services. Outdoors, as I said, is a bit more challenging because you do need some critical mass. So you need at least 50% of the optimal coverage in a city before you can ask the mayor to buy your data. Again, it depends. It's on a case-by-case basis, but there is an issue about achieving a critical density for outdoors, which is a bit different from the indoor scenario. Okay, I believe I covered most of the questions that were submitted. The ones I did not cover, I believe answers were provided already. Again, let me just remind you for closing that we are delivering lots of sensors to you. We are going to improve the transparency in the sensor, on the sensor queue. Transparency doesn't mean that stuff is written in stone, because there are a number of reasons why numbers can change, especially both because the hardware is third-party hardware, so there are challenges in deliveries and commitments and all these things, and also because some people who are on the waiting list can drop from the waiting list. There are a number of reasons why things can fluctuate, but anyway, we are working to increase the transparency of the information so that you have a good estimate of when you're going to get a sensor if you have a license. Okay, then we're going on Bitmart. We are doing a science AMA, and I should stop here, but I believe there will be a big piece of news from us released before the end of the month. I should not have said that, but I said so. Who cares? Okay, thank you everybody. Keep watching the planet, stay safe and stay happy as much as you can. Thank you.